Happy Saturday to you. And if you're on the other side of the planet, happy Sunday to you. I need to just make sure that everything's up and running, and then we'll get started. And while I'm doing that, I want to let you know that in the description below, there are other things going on. And that what's in the description below is like a link to our Facebook page. It's our link to our YouTube channel. There is our other YouTube channels actually. Let me just continue setting this up here. So I'm going to start a lot quicker. And let's see. So give me 1 second here while I continue setting things up, and then we'll get going. Where does it say live videos here? As I'm setting everything up. Yeah, there we are. All right. Save that, and then we'll see and make sure that we can see it live. Let's see if I can see that live. Oh, my computer happens to be freezing at the same time. And we have 2 people waiting, and we have 2 guests tonight. Let me just make sure everybody's here. All right, we do have both guests here waiting, so that's a good sign. And let's just see if everything's up and running. So one thing that I still need to do here, and why is this not showing me live? Let's see, maybe if I go there I can see it. There we go. All right, so there I am live. And I think we're about ready to go here. So what I need to do, is this set up all the way? I think it is. All right. I guess it's doing weird stuff. I don't know why that's not sorted out properly, but that's the best I can do for now. All right, so well, that is weird. Why is it showing that it's to the side? Unless maybe it takes a minute to adjust. Maybe it's still behind, but it shows that my screen is to one side. I'm not sure why that's doing that. I have a feeling that I did something in my setup here where I probably need to do something like that. And then if I go back to Zoom, now we'll see. We'll give it a second and we'll see if that's straightened back up. I actually was working on something today with my stream, and then I was working on my stream today, and I bumped something. And if you just bump something just like that, everything gets moved over. And hopefully that's straightened out now. See as it comes back, because it's a little bit of a delay, so I can see myself. And that's better, a lot better. This is just the width of the camera. And that's probably, I can just maybe adjust it one more time, and then we will bring our guests in. I think that's going to get it for me. So let me get my notes ready for my guests. So I have 2 guests tonight. One guest's name is Qhht, and the other one is Jessica Bales. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that looks great. I think I'm there. Thought I adjusted it. Oh, here it goes. Time delay, so we'll have it here so we can be all set up and not have to worry about it. Perfect. All right, so my guests are Qhht and Jessica Bales. Our first guest is Qhht. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Qhht is an integrative medical intuitive and energy healer for all beings. She has studied various forms of medicine and healing over many years and is currently in naturopathic medical school with the goal of combining Western medicine with other healing modalities to form an integrative practice as well as healing centers. All right, so I think she's also had a near-death experience, and I think that's what we kind of talked about. I'm meeting her for the first time right now, so it's different than what we usually do. Hello, Qhht.
Hi.
All right, great. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. Where are you from? Or where
That's
are
a
you living?
multidimensional question.
Maybe that's it. Where are you based out of? How about that?
New York City, but I am temporarily across the country to complete my naturopathic medicine degree.
All right. Where are you studying this naturopathic medicine degree?
Portland.
Oh, in Portland. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of that school? I think I've maybe heard of that school before.
Yeah, there's a couple of schools over here. NUNM is in Portland
Mm-hmm.
and Bastyrs in Seattle, and then there's another location in California, but there's not too many locations
Right.
currently.
And the one I
So
was thinking of was Bastyr. That's a pretty famous one, right?
yeah, they're like the Harvard of naturopathic medical schools.
Right, right.
And our school was actually supposed to be joining Pasteur, like in a merger, but that got canceled recently.
Oh,
So
wow. Well,
yeah.
that's too bad. Well,
Oh
great.
well.
Good for you. That's awesome. Now, did you also have a near-death experience?
I
You
did,
did. All
yeah, in
right. So I thought we
2012.
talked
Yeah.
about that. All right. So I got some stuff down. I got your more of her information is in the description below if people want to find out more about Kate. Her website's
Yeah.
there and other things. So I guess it would be best. And people, once I'm going to let you share your experience and then I'll just ask you
Okay.
whatever comes to my mind or whatever. And people would also like to ask you questions. Are you open to that? If
Oh,
the audience,
absolutely.
all right?
Yeah.
And it usually takes a few minutes for the audience to get here. And that's why I don't mind kind of taking my time getting set up. There's a way that let's see, does it say about 150 people are here now? So, and it
Oh
should,
wow.
yeah, should get
Yeah, I didn't
busier
even
as,
send the link to any of my friends yet. So
oh, if you're welcome to do
like,
that.
oh no, I'll be too nervous. Yeah.
Um, all right, well, let's start on the day that you had the NDE and go from there.
Okay. Well, first, I feel like I've gone through a dark night of the soul, like, I don't know, most of my life, and several kind of very close calls, struggles. And in 2012, I had a few surgeries and was in a lot of pain. I had tried several different things to uh, help with that pain to heal, and none of it was working. So basically, I was in a very bad state, and I called home and asked to just go home. I said, "This is enough. I can't take this anymore, and I want to go." And so what happened was within a couple of days, I had a system-wide failure, and the doctors like couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew what was going on, but they just couldn't figure it out. And yeah, I basically was on my way to pass. I fully surrendered. I was happy to let go. But what I experienced wasn't what I traditionally see in the near death experience realm. I didn't see a white light or a white tunnel. I didn't like um project directly outside of my body and see it from above or anything like that. Basically, I was immediately encompassed in a very warm darkness, sort of like being in a womb. I was very comforted. I knew that there were a lot of beings around me. I could feel them, but that was the initial experience. I just felt very comforted and felt like I was heading home. And then I saw magenta and violet light, rose gold, that kind of color spectrum, as opposed to a white tunnel. And then the beings became illuminated. And at that point, I don't know how else to explain it other than it was just multi-dimensional. So I was able to be in many different places and experience different things all simultaneously. It's not like when you're here, when you're really constricted by time and space. I was offered to go home, to a couple of different places if I chose to. And I did look back on what I was doing in life and my loved ones. And I felt like, not because of guilt or, that I felt like I had to, but I just felt like I needed to come back. I wanted to come back. I wasn't tossed or thrown, kicking or screaming. I just came back. And within that like second that I made that decision, I was back. And from that point on, it's like a light switch went on. all of my psychic and intuitive abilities that I shut down for a really long time just came on, like, and now I can't shut them down, but it took me many years to learn how to sort of regulate, especially in New York City.
All
So
right. Well, before we get into your psychic abilities, so you had some kind of system like multiple organ failure. Were you
yeah,
septic or something?
yeah, like my fever was ridiculous. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we could argue that, the pineal gland could have released some DMT, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wasn't having a near death experience. Maybe it was
I
just
doubt that.
fever affecting my brain. But,
Right. I don't know. I don't think so. I just was curious. I wasn't really clear, excuse me, on what was it that, what was it where you had some kind of multiple system failure. So you were
yeah,
septic. And then, not everybody, and I've done almost 700 of these interviews, so not everybody is above their body floating around and watching. Not everybody
yeah,
even goes through a tunnel. Sometimes they just immediately go from there to where you sounds like what you went to, the black void. You were there for a while. It was black,
yeah. And
warm.
it wasn't
Was it
scary. It was
velvety?
really beautiful and amazing. And it felt like the base of creation, like,
Mm-hmm.
the origin, the real origin point before you get to that sort of luminescent kind of light.
Would you
Um,
would you say it's a place that you could go from there, like a starting point? You could leave there and go anywhere?
I I would say that. Yeah, I think that at that point you are communicating with all of the different aspects of self, including your guides or
Mm-hmm.
guardians,
Mm-hmm.
and you're developing that sort of plan of what you want to do. I think that a lot of people, if you believe a certain regimen or protocol is going to happen after leaving your body, then you're probably going to attract that to you. I think that if you just are completely from a surrendered place, I think it's just different. I felt really good and really light. I did not want to come back initially. I kind of had fun playing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a kind of tendency for me anyway. So
Was there a certain being that communicated with you that offered you to stay or go back?
it wasn't I mean, I didn't see any ascended masters or, any of that. It was more like I understood that they were higher aspects of myself from a multidimensional perspective. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had already been in other places and experienced different realms. And so those beings were just a reflection back to me and working with me on where I wanted to go on this evolution. I did interact with a being from Cirrus, but I do think that, again, that was my higher self in a capacity.
Okay, so, well, some people believe that we are having all of our lives at the same time. There is no past life.
Yeah,
Everything's happening. So do you think that was another version of you that
absolutely.
living on Sirius?
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that I offer like past life regression, and I don't even like that term because it's not really a past life regression. It's just imprinted experiences and memory through your cells, through your DNA and your RNA that you actually have it like programmed within you that you can work and clear. Um, so, yes, I believe that we're all living simultaneously and it's expansive. I mean, that's what this period of consciousness is as well. We're expanding and expanding outwards. Um, but yeah, like it absolutely, I've had since then very strong memories of being on Cirrus and other planes of existence, and how to just incorporate that in this body and this lifetime without seeming absolutely crazy. So, I think now it's comforting a little bit to see people starting to talk about different experiences and different places and different lifetimes. When I first had that switch flipped on, it was seen pretty crazily. So it wasn't something that really talked about too much. In fact, I think you were one of the first people that really started getting people to open up and talk about multidimensional subjects.
What do you think dreams are? Do you think dreams are accessing other dimensions, or do you think it's just our imagination while we're resting?
No, I mean, like, I think that even in philosophy, you could go back to, is this what we're in right now, a dream, and we're just going to wake up? But I feel like when we're dreaming, we already leave our bodies, and it's sort of training ground, either way, like either for your own evolution or to reflect on experiences. And one could argue that that's the subconscious, working different cellular memories out. But I I definitely feel like dreams are tapping into the divine. I think like a lot of people probably who really love sleep. Like I've been a big fan of sleep in this lifetime, and it's almost like a vacation. Not just from the physical body and existence, but just a connection with the divine and feeling that presence. So you almost sometimes don't want to wake up, especially when you have those like really amazing experiences and you can remember. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that you were psychic previous in life and then you shut it all down. What
Yeah.
what happened? How were you psychic before and why did you shut it down?
It started with animals. When I was really young, I would talk with animals. I was very close with animals and still am. Just knowing what they're feeling or thinking, and also seeing spirits around. First, when I was younger, I remember seeing shadows around and it really freaked me out. But like when I tried to talk to my mom about it, it just was not handled well because my parents' generation are just not people who typically accept these things. So basically, I was taught, no, we don't talk about that. She actually, thought that there might be something wrong with me, like seriously wrong. So I just never talked about it like again. And I was a pretty much a loner like growing up. So I didn't ever really talk to anyone about it. And then in 2012, when that experience happened, it just was like, okay, I can't hide this anymore because clearly there's something going on. So let's just figure out how to work with it and in a way that would benefit everyone instead of, you know, just regulating myself. But yeah.
So, how would you describe what abilities you have now?
I would say medical intuitive is my first, just that I'm focusing on. That was the whole point of me even getting into medicine, was to have that really firm background so that when I do see things in the body, that I am able to provide a multidisciplinary healing technique. And I also still I could communicate with spirit. I just don't want to be a medium. I That's not my calling. That's not what I feel like I want to do. But during readings with people or guidance sessions, all of that happens anyway. I just don't like to claim that I'm a medium.
Okay. Um, well, have your memories of the experience faded over time?
No, absolutely not. If anything, I feel like everything is just making more sense. Everything is being put together, the big puzzle, little pieces are coming here and there. And I think that's for everyone in life. You're just like, for a while there, you're grasping at straws. And then sometimes there will be events that are thrown in there where you can make sense of how things are going and where you need to be going and all of that.
Hmm. All right, I'm gonna open it up for questions for her.
Okay.
While so if people have questions, feel free to write it in the chat. Um, well, do you fear death at all?
Not at all. I think that it's a transformation process. And I feel like the reason why I actually reached out to you was because of the fear of death that I feel is really prominent in a lot of the different spiritual communities right now.
Hmm.
There's a lot of promoting of the death trap or the soul trap when
Mm-hmm.
you leave.
Right. What communities are you seeing that in?
Really heavily in the Starseed community and the New Age, which is just like a distorted version of the old age,
Interesting.
that's been around for a long time.
Interesting that the
I
star
just,
seeds are talking about the soul trap. I wouldn't think about that.
yeah, I mean, I think that there are narratives that occur, and this has just been going on for eons of time, that are like intentionally put out there to cause fear or to distort reality or cause a certain reaction so that we stay in a lower vibration or frequency. And this is, I guess, what I'm concerned with, because I see that a lot of people are so afraid to die now. Like, they're
Mhm.
afraid to leave their body because they're really afraid that they're going to go through a white tunnel and get automatically recycled, or like through the moon or Saturn and being thrown back like immediately. And that's just not how it works. I mean, if you resonate with that, you're probably going to attract that in the astral. Once you leave, your etheric body will resonate with that lower vibrational state. And unfortunately, then you're free game a little bit, it leaving this plane of existence is a reward for all of the hard work that's done here. This is a really, really rough place to be for multiple reasons.
Mhm.
But once you have graduated, it's supposed to be a celebration. And one thing that I'm really passionate about is the retirement communities, even because as people are leaving their bodies, and this lifetime is supposed to be a celebration and a sacred rite of passage. And we don't do that anymore. We don't do that for even teens. Teen boys and teen ladies used to go through these sacred ceremonies, and it was a rite of passage. We've lost all of this ceremony, and I think
That's true.
it's really important. Yeah, and you kind of gear up. You gear up your Ka body, your etheric body, you gear up all of your different levels when you celebrate and you go through that sacred ceremony, so that when you pass, it's easy, it's effortless, and you're supported. You feel your support, so you're not left feeling like you're dangling and grasping.
All right, let me get a question here. How did the desire change when you came back? Let me see if there's a part of that. What caused her to want to leave? Sorry if she's already said. I just came in the beginning, and how did that desire change when you came back? So did you? I don't know if you really wanted to leave. I felt like you just surrendered when you
I
first.
surrendered.
Mhm.
I just had gone through a lot of difficulty and a lot of pain growing up, just with different
Mhm.
issues. I mean, I nearly died like several times. I was just like, what is going on with this? Like, I'm just done. I was feeling really lost. I was really young and twirled around,
Right.
and just, I know now it's just because I wasn't tapped into my true essence and who I was meant to be and to share with the world. I wasn't speaking any of what I was experiencing. And so when I had that near death experience, that was so strong that it just like almost dissolved a bit of ego, where this veil was no longer there. And I was just like forced to reconvene and to figure things out. And I just changed completely. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I used to be in rock bands. Like,
Mm.
I was really hardcore into super tough stuff. Like,
Cool.
I love ice climbing, but like I haven't done it in a while. I was really tough. And then like as soon as 2012 happened, I wanted to make fairy lullaby albums
Mm.
and do
That's a big.
sound healing, and
Yeah.
yeah, like just completely different. I mean, one could argue, I guess, in the community that maybe it's a walk-in issue, but I don't really feel that personally.
Mhm.
I just feel like more of my higher vibrational aspects were allowed to step in and just kind of merge and take over. Be like, okay, you had to get to this point. Let's just like shoo you along.
Did you see my video the other day, by the way, with the guy that used to be in a hardcore punk band and then gave it
No.
up and became a monk?
Yeah.
And
It's
that
so
it
weird.
was a
I
great
mean,
video.
it's just like you have this like instant taste of the divine. And it's like once you have that, everything else pales in comparison. And you're just like, okay, whatever, like everything else, this is not working anymore. Like, let's just focus.
Let me catch another question here from the audience. Can you please ask, are we spiritually dead while we're here and then we become alive when we go back?
I don't think we're spiritually dead. I feel like we actually have been given a gift to be here. We are fully alive. And I think that that may be part of the dissonance and with the pain is because we are so embodied in a constrictive vessel and in certain parameters that you feel like maybe you're dead just because it's hard. It's really rough. But no, I think it's the opposite. I feel like we are completely alive here. It's just a matter of being able to make our way back to that divine aspect and being able to feel that guidance and to hear it, to know it, and to live it. And then you don't feel dead. You feel very much alive.
It- Here's another question. Why is the world so full of narcissism?
Wow. Well, I think that this would really go back to Ahriman.
To
I feel
what?
like
You go back to what?
Ahriman,
Araman?
yeah, so Ahriman and Lucifer, they are two polar opposites. This universe, unfortunately, is in duality, and that's
Hmm.
just how it is.
Right?
So since creation, there has been Ahriman as an influence and Lucifer, and these are two influences, dark and light. You could say from many different religions or spiritual beliefs, the angel and the devil on your shoulder. We are in this dark state because Ahriman and a lot of beings were cast out. They were sort of set out into the void as fragments, and they're traumatized. They're like, well, if we're going to be cast out and be miserable, then everybody else has to be. So, unfortunately, they're constantly trying to take over and cause pain, suffering. They actually, I feel like with narcissists, can attach to people and have more of that influence. And especially if that person has not done any sort of shadow work or has any sort of um, awareness, then it creeps in. And then over time, it just becomes so much. I mean, we have so much prevalence of narcissism. I feel like also because we have been ignoring the divine feminine aspect for so long, it's gotten really out of balance. And that's not what Prime Creator wanted to occur. It's just that's what's going on right now. And everything will be balanced. But right now, we're at that point where the scales are tipping. So the narcissists are part of like the dark fleet.
If we are not here in a soul trap, why do you think we come back over and over again and especially experience suffering?
Yeah. So and again, that this is from my perspective. So I'm not saying that I'm correct on anything. I don't think that truth is even objective. I think that there's a subjective point to this. But it is my belief that during the initial creation, during the Big Bang, Prime Creator source focused all of the energy and exploded outwards, but it created this void. And not only did it create a void in the center, which is now like a toroidal field, which is going to eventually heal itself. That's what that shape is. It's coming inwards to try to heal itself. But the fragments of the mother, which are magnetism, were thrown out into the darkness. So you have that, and then you have all of these fallen beings also who have all of this trauma, and it's so deeply rooted. I mean, from inception, from the creation, that now, in order for everything to heal and to get back to normal, we have to reclaim those parts of ourselves and the divine feminine, and we have to heal all of the trauma. This is where I'm a big proponent of somatic therapy and different healing, just because this is our chance to heal the entire collective, like multidimensionally, from all of that trauma, is by getting in your physical body, by feeling that pain, but also realizing where it comes from and how to heal it. Now, that's not easy with people who are really suffering and you can't seem to get out of that cycle. But even just one little help or guidance can pull people out of that. One thing that has bothered me over the years is people with the attitude of the cynicism and just like, oh, Earth is a hell and nobody's here helping. Like, God is not helping. Like, why is there so much suffering? And I think that's a really important question because the original prime creator does not want suffering, but there is free will and there's like the harmonic influences that are causing a lot of this harm. And it's based in all of this trauma. So unless we heal and we get back to the earth also, because I really honestly feel like there's a fragment of the Divine Mother, original fragment that is here. And so if we're so focused on space and mechanical viewpoints and science completely, and we don't balance, we're losing the point. Sorry, I went off on a rant.
No, it's fine. Do you think that karma is real, or we can, well, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but we'll just say, well, let's rephrase it. Can we move beyond karma if it is real?
Absolutely. I really feel this. I also feel that a lot of people who have come here in this particular time are doing like double duty of a lot of the suffering and the work and healing that trauma. I mean, we've taken on a tremendous amount. That's moved us through expansion quite a lot. I don't think that you can necessarily like skip grade levels if you haven't done any healing for the trauma, but I do feel like something has shifted collectively where there were a lot harder rules and structure with karma that are no longer there. Like, we have the opportunity to expand more. It's opening up. So even though I don't feel like you can skip, from being a rock to being an archangel, I feel like there's some leeway in there if you're really working on yourself. And there's, again, like self-disservice and self to others, which is Ahriman and Lucifer again. If you are focused more on service to others as opposed to service to self, then you're doing a whole lot of good for your karma. You're going to be able to clear so much more and so much more quickly. I do feel, though, it's necessary in a capacity because it is part of evolution.
All right. Give me 1 second. I had a great question here, and then I listened to you and I forget it. But well, let's go here. I got it now. I just saw something here. Earlier we were talking about star seeds, and it sounds like you visit the star seeds Facebook pages or something. Do you feel that you are a star seed? Well, you mentioned another version of you's on Sirius, so
yeah. This is something that I really fought with, and this is why, like, I took down my YouTube page actually fairly recently because I'm just not the same and in the same space that I was when that door opened and the light switched on. It's like all of this cosmic awareness came through me, and so I grasped onto different narratives. And part of that was the Starseed community. I think it's good to have this community because it does bring awareness and expansion regarding other beings that are existing, and they just are. But having, I think, the mentality that we come here from another star system, that like there were the 3 waves of volunteers. I don't disagree with that, but what I do disagree with is feeling like we're special compared to everyone else. I think it's just another capacity for separation, and that's where I have a problem. Because even if you are, let's say, more affiliated with one star system, that probably means that you have such a strong imprint from living there or from experiencing more lifetimes there that you feel so strongly that you've come here, straight from Sirius or straight from Arcturus. But I don't believe that anymore. I feel like everyone here, you have to have had a lifetime on Earth to even be here, because otherwise your nervous system would just bonk out immediately. There's no way that such a high vibrational star system being could be here without training of going lower in descension. So that's where I have a problem with that.
If you had a friend that was grieving over the loss of a loved one, what kind of advice would you give?
I think, grieving is one of those individual processes as well. So you have to feel it out and see, what state that person is in and what their awareness is. But I feel, and this is just what I've seen through crossing humans and animals over, is that it doesn't have to be hard, when you let go. And there is a team that is already working with you if you let go and you're open to it weeks before you pass, to slowly get you accustomed to the new energy and to have that shift. It's not a horrible nightmare out there. It's really wonderful. And you will feel like you are coming home, because that's what it is. You're just going back to your true being and your true self. And the separation is what causes that pain here. But you're able to communicate with spirit. I mean, there's a certain period of time afterwards, after beings pass, that their energy kind of goes away. It's a little bit more dissonant, but then it comes back for a little bit. And then it might dissipate and get a little bit thinner, like over time. But that's just because they're doing other things. It doesn't mean that you can't tap into it. You can always, if you connect with your heart, connect to any being anywhere. I mean, I think that's part of the problem actually with discernment going on right now in the new age and starseed communities. But you can always maintain that connection. And a lot of the times, even though people don't see or even feel, sometimes you have beings around all the time. That's creepy. It's not like, I mean, you can go to the bathroom and have privacy, but they don't care anyway. But you have those loved ones.
For those of you that didn't come in the beginning, you feel free to ask questions. You can type them in the chat. So where are you at in your schooling? I think it's a 4-year degree, right?
It is, yeah.
What
So
year are you in?
I'm at the tail end of the second year, and I'm so excited. This last semester nearly killed all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've all been a little sick the last couple of weeks because we had like cardiopulmonary and hematology, which like literally drained us. We were like the cast of Twilight by the end of the semester.
Right.
So like it was a lot.
I would assume the first 2 years are just like medical school, dental
It
school.
is, yeah.
They're all
It
the same.
is rough.
It's just all your science class, your core science classes and things like
It's
that.
like I think that my brain was somehow disconnected, where, I had been wanting to go on the traditional Western medical path, and then COVID happened, and I totally disagreed with a lot of the protocols and everything going on. So I decided, okay, well, I'm already into botanical medicine and energy healing and all of this stuff. I probably need to go to Hogwarts. So like I was trying to like combine energy medicine, but with Western medicine. And when I found naturopathic medicine, I thought that I hit the jackpot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this can't really be right, because how am I able to learn Eastern and Western medicine in one place? Like this is freaking awesome. But it's starting to just like pressurize.
I think
There's so much.
I believe the states out west you can do more with your degree as well. You know, Washington,
Yeah.
Oregon,
Oh,
perhaps
absolutely. I mean, like there's
Utah, Idaho.
insurance accepted. Yeah. I I underestimate it, but I've done this with all of my education, and I don't know why I do this. Like, I underestimate the school or like, what program I'm going to be in. But the thing is, like, the professors at this school are so amazing and knowledgeable. And I've doubted and been kind of skeptical. I mean, just because our society is skeptical of naturopathic doctors. So I have that kind of embedded in there, and I'm always questioning. But it just makes it even better because every class that I've gone to has just been insanely difficult, but also just amazing. And the way that they approach it too, it's more systemic as opposed to just treating the symptoms. So it's been really fun learning about how to get to the core of things. This is just, it's a dream come true. And I think that, you know, supposing that I actually pass my boards, that I can have a really great medical intuitive practice. And this is my whole goal as long as I survive.
That's great. You may or may not experience this, but have you had any ET or UFO contact?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I don't really talk about this too much, but I mean, the ETs, again, like I said, a lot of them, especially the higher vibrational ones, when you're in a meditative state, are just other aspects of yourself or some of your other lifetimes. I mean, they could be family members or whatever from other places and other lifetimes. Um, the UFO just popularity, I think right now, it concerns me a little bit because you have to use discernment. And I feel like because we are in a lower vibration, that if you are seeing physical beings, and I mean not, like an apparition type where you're seeing mostly a being, but like an actual physical being, they're having to be at such a low vibration to be seen physically. You have to question where they're coming from and what their motives are. And I think there's so much excitement. I swear, like with the age of Aquarius in January, it was just like boom. And everybody is talking about the UFOs. And I mean, the Starseed community has just like catapulted. But I have not experienced a UFO right in front of me. I have seen them in the sky. I've even seen them like in New York City, like looking out the apartment window. But the thing is, you have to question, okay, well, what state am I in? Am I attracting a higher vibrational reflection, or is this another being that shouldn't be here, or the government, having UFOs?
Are you still in communication with the aspects of your higher self or other beings that you encountered during your NDE?
Yes. It's not like I'm talking to them every day intentionally. It's more in meditation. Like, I feel like I started Kriya yoga and meditation a couple of years ago,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
and
I've heard good things
I
about that Kriya
it's
yoga.
it's really it's been amazing for me.
Can you
I
tell us a
I
little bit
think I
more? I forgot about that. It's a certain way of breathing, right? Kriya
Yeah,
yoga, it's
so
kind of like a
and
kundalini
let
in a
me
way.
tell you, it has saved me at my relatives' gatherings like so much the last couple of years. Just that focus and centering on that breath, it is so powerful, and it really does feed your mitochondria. Like, it just it brings you to a much higher vibrational state more quickly. And I think that was the whole point of Paramahamsa Yogananda, who was really promoting it in the West, was to help everyone to shift up higher, sort of as a cheat sheet. I mean, you don't have to do Kriya Yoga to get to a higher vibrational state. It's just a tool, and one really powerful one that can be used. But I got into it because I did not understand, until I started reading more Vedic texts, how there were certain beings like Paramahamsa Yogananda, Yeshua, Swami Yukteswar Giri, and Lahiri Mahasaya, like that whole lineage, like how they were able to be here and just automatically seem more powerful from within. Like they were already luminescent from within. And I won't, I, it's not that it made their life easier, but I just was curious as to how were they able to do that, and like the rest of us can't do it. But it's not that. Like once you get into practicing, you start just understanding more. But
Somebody's asking, how would you spell Kriya Yoga?
it's Kriya.
Kriya.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. If you want to check it out, Kriya.
Yeah, there's the
Kriya.
self-realization fellowship, which was started by Paramahamsa Yogananda. I don't follow everything there. I'm not like the best student ever because I look at Yukteswar Giri's teaching and Lahiri Mahasaya as well, and I kind of combine a little bit. I think that that's a thing. These are tools, and you just discern and see how you feel. But
Do they teach meditation at your school?
yes, but it's so because of Western medicine and the view on naturopathic doctors, um, the model for all of the academics is so strictly scientific that you have to pick different classes to focus on or like a track. There is integrative naturopathic medicine within every class, but like meditation is not something that we practice in class. It's more of, you're already aware of it or we talk about it. But like, if you want to practice it, then you've got to do that either outside or take another course. And one thing is like, I've got so excited and I wanted to take every course that there was. I was like Chinese medicine and botanical medicine, but I've spent almost all of my elective credits on Ayurvedic medicine, which is amazing. And so I'm like having to figure out how to get more elective power, I guess, elective points. But yeah, it's not really taught. It's just, you have to seek it out. I think that might be bad if they were like, hey, everybody, you have to do meditation today, because I feel like that would rile some feathers. But then it might also be really good, especially with the breath work. Because let me tell you, our cohort's stressed out. Yeah.
Are there many students there that are, you know, that are pretty spiritual or into supernatural stuff, near-death experiences, things like that?
The funny thing is that I knew you were going to ask this earlier, and I was thinking about this because I just told a friend last night that I don't think that I'm going to be offering sacred ceremonies to my cohort. And part of it is that when you are with people all of the time, they just don't see you the same way. It's Jesus even said at one point something like, you don't heal the same people in your house. It's because they just know you and they're not going to see you in the same light. So I would say I chose to not offer those sacred ceremonies here for my cohort because a lot of the cohort are not there yet. They're exploring. They're just at different stages. I randomly, because I like to kind of stir the pot and get people thinking, I'll mention like ETs or Cirrus or, just to kind of like get things going. But I can tell, you can gauge from people how they respond and if they're ready or not. And so I just kind of leave it at that. But I do intend to reach out of the cohort and offer some ceremonies in person here. Maybe I'll eventually do the cohort. I think with the expansion, everybody's moving pretty quick. So, but they are spiritual in the capacity of being aware of nature and how earth medicine is imperative to our healing, like even in our body, and it's been here for forever. Like basically any plant that you run into is some form of medicine. So but yeah, as far as higher vibrational and multidimensional aspects, I don't really talk to many people about it.
Well, after watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Absolutely. I do have like a limited capacity just because I am in full-time medical school. But feel free to reach out.
What's the
You will
best way?
notice my website, I haven't like touched that thing in a while. It's just because I've been head deep. Like we moved over here and then yeah.
So it's best to contact you from your website.
Yes, yeah. You could even contact me on Etsy, but I do have my email as well, which is katakaisalchemy@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out. I actually really love engaging conversations. So it took a lot for me to get myself out there and talk to you. So
Well, I'm glad you did.
hopefully that,
I think
yeah.
you've done great. Do you think that you will ever get your YouTube channel up and running again?
I'm gonna start a different one.
Yeah?
It just, you know how when you look back on things, you're like, wow, that just really changed.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that information is any less valuable. It's just not vibing with me anymore. So I will be starting a new one. I actually really want to do earth medicine and with animals and just how to work with the planet and get back to that, do some guided meditations and ceremonies and stuff like that. So I did start an earth medicine podcast with a friend to start it off with, and I still have not uploaded the file. So I think it's a matter of just getting everything organized and balanced so that I can start to offer all of that. I usually try to offer in-person healing sessions or distance healing sessions. That's kind of my thing right now, just as my fun. So, and service.
All right. Well, Kate, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
It feels like at times it's hopeless when you look at the news or see the amplification of what appears to be the suffering on this planet. And it can feel like you're completely alone. And I think a lot of people on the spiritual path feel that, especially. But you're not alone. There is so much help. And if you just connect with your heart and actually work on opening it, you'll start noticing all of the help that is available and that is there for you. But discern. You're
Kate,
not alone.
that's true. Kate, thank you for joining us this evening. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you, and I wish you massive success in school.
Thank you very much. And I really have enjoyed this conversation.
Well, we did too. Thank you. All right, take care.
Okay.
Have a great rest of your
Bye.
evening.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, she's gone already. All right. Well, before I bring in our next guest, I just kind of want to let you know of this week's schedule. Tomorrow I have a guest. Her name is Sev Talk, and she wasn't sure if she had ET contact for years. And she, she kind of knew she did, but she wasn't really sure of it until she had a marking on her body, an X shape, dot, 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 like X's, but made out of dots. And then the next day she had it again on the other side of her back. So, and we have pictures of that. That's fascinating. And then she, I guess, got downloads and she started remembering her contact. And so I think you guys will enjoy that if you're into UFOs. And a fascinating side note is that her girlfriend was dating one of the writers for Star Trek. I mean, not Star Trek, Star Wars. And one of the writers liked her name, Sev Talk, and he decided to name a planet in the Star Wars universe after her name. And I think it was like in the Andor series, and it's even like in Wikipedia or something. So I think that's pretty cool. And I want to thank PD Pete for the super thanks. Thank you very much, Pete. We really appreciate that. And it says, don't forget to sit in the grass, pat the ground, and say thanks, Gaia. I think that's a great piece. That's a great message. I need to do that myself. All right, so let me see what's coming up. Before we bring our next guest in, we have a few minutes here. What is coming up? So that is going to be tomorrow's video. Let's see. I recorded 2 NDEs and I need to probably post one of them. Obviously, one of them. One of them is a woman that was out and got stranded in her car out in the forest in Colorado and got caught up in there and was like, it started having a blizzard. It was crazy. And so she survived that and had an NDE. And then the other one had an NDE as well, and I forgot what that story was. But those 2 NDEs will be coming up next week. I have an NDE to record on Monday. Tuesday I didn't put any notes. I have an NDE with a medical doctor that had an NDE on Wednesday. I have a famous jazz pianist that had some kind of spiritual experience, John Novello, that I'm supposed to meet on Thursday. Another woman with an NDE on Friday as well. So a lot of NDEs coming up, and I'm scheduling a lot. So that's what's coming up there. Once again, if you look in the description below, you'll see links to my personal Facebook page. You'll see my last name is Reynolds. My beloved wife is Mara, so the podcast is named after both of us, Jeff Mara Podcast. So I still see it from time to time in the chat. They'll say, "I thought his last name was Mara," and they'll say, "Who's Mara?" So that's still there. So that's there. A link to our Facebook page is there. A link to our website, our merch store, our cooking channel, our music channel, and other things. So we're just really busy, crazy busy putting out content. And if you like any of that other stuff, I hope you check it out. And one other thing is we do have a Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's very similar to Facebook, but different. It's like they're like my own personal chat rooms, and you can hang out with people. You can video chat, you can audio chat, you can share whatever you want, memes or pictures or videos or whatever. That's all there. There's about 600 like-minded people there. So if you want to find somewhere to hang out with like-minded people, it's free to do. You go to discord.com, you get your free account, and you email me personally, and I'll give you the code, secret code to get in, because I used to publicly post it, but people were going in and causing trouble, so I had to shut that down. All right, so let's get to the next guest. We don't have to wait till 8 o'clock. We can get going now. Where is she? Now, her name's Jessica Bales, and she is a Pleadian Star seed. Now, it's interesting because we just talked about star seeds, so we got a star seed in here. She's also a singer-songwriter. She's going to have a new song coming out. It's called My Reflections, and she has a book coming out called Owning My Reflections. So let's bring her in and see what she's up to. And I think she's also had an NDE as well. It says Jessica here. So let's hope this is going to work. All right, sometimes it takes a minute for them to kind of come in. All right, so she's connecting to audio, and her camera's black. There she is. And there's someone else sideways. Jessica, can you hear me? Okay, I hear you. Your audio is on, but maybe your mic. There you go. I was going to say, maybe your mic was muted.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, welcome. Where are you from?
I'm from Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, Ardmore.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Where's Ardmore near?
It is halfway between Dallas and Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay. It's like,
yes,
is it on 35?
Yes, it is. It's off of 35, yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Awesome. Good for you. Well, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you. Now, did you also have an NDE as well?
A brief one when I broke my neck, but
right.
It was a black void, but I've had a lot of near-death, like literal near-death experiences.
All right, well, let's start with that one. That's a starting point, and then we'll kind of go from there, and we'll get into how you found out you're a starseed as well.
Yes, all the pain that I've been through is how I found out, actually, and therapy and healing. Mm-hmm. So I was about 5 months pregnant, and I was in a state of despair and addiction and didn't have a home or anything. And it just came to a point where I went to a hotel balcony and I did a dive off of it and just broke my neck right
Wow.
there. And I died instantly and went to a void. So it was real brief.
What did you do
I
in the
think I
void?
kept on passing in and out for a minute, but it was just a black void. I was still conscious, but it was total darkness. But I've also been stabbed when on Friday the 13th in 2008. And that one put me in the hospital for almost a month. I almost had this arm amputated. And that one was probably worse to me than the breaking of the neck. I've got 8 screws in my neck and scars all over me. I don't know if you can see this one, but I've had a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma is what woke me to my
Hmm.
divinity.
Hmm.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So when you were there in the black void, were there any beings there?
I couldn't see anything. It was just total darkness.
Did you
And then the
feel anything?
resuscitation happened
Did
immediately.
did you feel, any love or anything, or no?
I felt scared. I
Hmm.
felt darkness, actually. It was terrifying
Interesting.
because, if you don't know that you're a deliberate creator and you're not awoken to your divinity and you're just regurgitating reality, you don't know what's going on at that point. So it's kind of a terrifying thing to happen.
Interesting because you chose to dive off.
Yes.
What were you expecting when you chose to dive off? After were
I
you
did not expect to walk away from it. I was in the hospital for 9 days and I walked away, checked
wow,
myself out.
that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I've had suicidal tendencies my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've jumped out of vehicles on I-35 going 80 miles an hour, rolled down, didn't break a bone in my body, just skinned up like hamburger meat, it looked like. But the worst I would say was the stabbing, because that's when you see your blood like that going, it's more I was in a black void, I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't even know I'd passed at that point. It took me years to process that. That was in 2012, and in 2008 was the stabbing.
Well, it sounds like you're supposed to be here.
Yeah, I've heard that my entire life. Now,
Have you
I
figured out
have
what
been
your
to,
purpose is?
yes, I do. I am here to integrate light codes, and I'm here to design a more specific language that we can all understand each other better, because that's where we go wrong. I mean, we just can't be specific enough. We're lazy in our speech to each other.
All right. So what kind of language? Like a telepathic language?
It would be more like concept, speaking in a whole concept at once. Like when I say the word Xmas, this is Dolores Cannon, straight Dolores Cannon here. Xmas means Christmas, but Christmas means a whole other thing. It's Christmas trees, it's presents, it's a whole concept in one word. And you don't get it wrong. You know what that is. So
So it sounds like you
now
want to
back in Atlanta,
simplify
when
it.
we lived there, we all had one language we spoke to each other. So it was a lot easier to communicate in back in Atlantis.
Can you tell us about how you discovered you're a star seed?
Yes. So I was on methadone due to the neck. So I'd been going to a clinic and we did groups, and Joe Dispenza came on.
Mm.
He put on Joe Dispenza that day, my counselor, and he never puts on videos. And it was like I was the only one that heard this whole video in the whole. I mean, they don't even remember playing this video of Joe Dispenza. It's just 10-minute positivity, talking about how if you make the same choices, it'll lead to the same behaviors, same emotions, same cycle. And so I went home and I started digging in it. And my dad had passed away a few years before that, and I think that's really what activated me. I wouldn't say it was an awakening, it's an activation. It was literally an activate DNA. And So when my dad passed, I dug into the paranormal,
So it's
and
just
I
like
watched.
flipping a switch when you're
Yes,
activated.
it was instantly. When his last breath, it instantly did something to me. I was in a state of held consciousness for 4 days. And then I just kind of made this transition into digging in what happens when you die. And I stayed watching the paranormal for years, probably. And that gave me a good understanding of vibration and energy and frequency. And that's the fundamental understanding people need to have to understand how we can channel the extraterrestrials and everything like that. You know, we are Wi-Fi. We transmit and receive energy. If you watch the paranormal, you'll see they have EMF meters, and they can detect energy, and we emit an energy field. So that's how we do it. And if you can get a grip on that, you can really understand how vibration works, because we are vibrational beings in a vibrational world.
What planet do you think you're from?
Lyra.
You're Lyran.
I don't know if
Interesting.
you can see my
Yeah,
picture in the
I see
background.
the lion. Are you up
That
for,
is my essence.
by the way, are you open to taking questions from the audience?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so if you guys want to ask her questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. So yeah, I see the lion. I noticed that earlier, so that's interesting. Like, do
Yes,
you feel
yes.
naturally drawn to lions and cats?
Oh, yes, yes. I'm more. I get along with animals way better than humans. Yes.
Some
So
people do, yeah.
yes, yes.
It's
Cats
interesting.
especially. They just come to my door. It's like I have this beacon where they're like, that one right there will take you in. So I love them.
Do you see UFOs?
I have, after my awakening, I dreamt that a UFO abducted me, actually. And they say that when that happens, it is an actual real experience. I don't remember anything. They don't want you to remember anything because it'll break the psyche, and they don't want to harm us. They're benevolent. They're not here to take over our world. So, yes. I'm a Pleiadian star seed from Vegas star system. I had a Qhht done last year, and
Wait, I
that's
thought you
where.
just said you were Lyrian.
Yeah, it's from Lyra. It's branched off. My first lifetime was Lyra, but I've branched to Pleiadian in this lifetime.
Did you say that you've had some QHHT hypnosis done on you?
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
what did you discover?
I discovered that I am a Pleiadian starseed, and that I have died numerous times. They took me back through the death scene a few times, and I even seen a loved one die in my QHHT. I went to off planet for a while, and I believe that I went to the Giza pyramids. I believe I went to the healing place that Thoth, which is an Anunnaki, he built the pyramids. Thoth did. He's an Anunnaki. It's not a race. It's just extraterrestrials. And that I went to that holding place for healing for a long time. It was beautiful. It was loving. That's what I feel like, more like a death experience should have felt like. But now that I'm a deliberate creator, I can choose that.
All right, I
So,
got a question from the audience here. Now
yes.
it says that how do you relate to the avian world as a Lyran?
Okay. Well, we are all oneness because we all come from source. So we're all branched off together. And I don't know much about that extraterrestrial collective, but I do know that we do work with them, the Arcturians, and yes, all of there's so many, it's countless. But yes, we're all oneness. We all work together when we're in non-physical form.
Someone brought a good question up. When you jumped off the balcony while you were pregnant, what
Mhm.
happened to the baby?
He lived. He
Wow.
survived.
Did you
And he
did you
healthy and
continue carrying the pregnancy?
yes, I did. Yes, yes.
Oh, amazing.
I had him full term. He's healthy. He's happy. He's wonderful. He's doing great.
I guess
He's a miracle.
you were able to
My
have,
neck took the brunt of the fall.
right.
So, you know,
I'm not aware of what goes on in those instances, but I'm assuming you
yes.
still you received surgery on your neck while you were still carrying the baby.
Absolutely. Yes, I had to. I mean, it was broke really bad. They had to fuse my neck
Yeah.
together. Yes. Yes.
So,
There's 8 huge screws holding my neck together. I do gymnastics, I
mhm.
walk, I run.
Well, how did your life change after that? I mean, did you and you jumped off the building, you made the attempt, you came, you were afraid when you got there, and then you
Yes.
came back. How did you change your life after that?
Just see, my sister, I gave my son up for adoption because I was an alcoholic.
Okay.
And at some point after that, I had to decide to get sober for myself. And that's what I did. You have to choose it. You have to choose it. And I wanted it. I wanted it bad enough for my family, for myself, that I went after it and I went for the healing. But
Mhm.
that's where the methadone came in.
Okay.
And when I was activated in March of last year, I just put down 80 milligrams of methadone a day. I couldn't even walk across a room without falling asleep and falling over
Hmm.
last year.
Wow.
I
So
mean,
it's
this was
that
my life since 2015
that's
to
really recent.
2023 of March.
That was really recent.
Yes, yes, I just walked away. I told
Good
my
for you.
family, I said, I'm not going back. I said, there's something happening to me. And they were like, you're crazy. And then when dosing day came and I didn't go, they knew something then. They were like, yeah, something's up. And so I felt unhinged. That's why I had the QHHT.
Hmm.
Talked to Christy Sharp. She is wonderful QH, wonderful. She's in Oklahoma City. I highly recommend her. And she worked wonders on me. She cleared my chakras in the
Hmm.
QHHT. It was an amazing experience.
Is that something that you recommend everybody do? Is have a
I do. I do.
QHHT?
No matter, I mean, everyone is in survival mode somewhat. We're in the 3D matrix. So we need to clear our chakras so that we can move up to our heart space. And that one is the one where we need to stay. So yeah, you've got to have it cleared.
What else did you
Energy work is the only way.
What else did you see during your QHHT session?
Oh man, I seen a planet that was solid white, and I believe that was Lyra. It was a beautiful planet that nighttime was pretty much just all the time, but it was a beautiful white lit planet. At the same time, it was nighttime. It was very interesting. I can't even hardly explain it. It was an emotional, an emotional thing.
Do you think you got more out of the activation of your DNA when you were with your father or the QHHT?
Hmm. It's hard to compare those. Um, I would say the QHHT, though, it was so powerful, it changed my whole paradigm.
Now that was like 9 months ago,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then the
Yeah. It
active
was 1 year ago in April. It was, yeah,
and then
one
the
year ago
activation was when?
in March of last year.
Okay, so they were one right after the other.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
You think you'll ever do it again, another QHHT, or one's enough?
Absolutely. I've got one coming up, actually. Yes. Yes,
How
I
much
do.
does it cost to do something?
They all charge differently because there's different level practitioners.
Mm,
She's a level 2 or 3, and she's about $300 a session.
that's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
How many hours are you with them when they do that?
I did three full hours solid under hypnosis, and 2 hours I spent with her talking
Hmm.
so that we could get to know each other so my higher self would trust her. And it was just that whole experience. It's life changing.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like it was difficult for you to kind of, I don't know how you would say it, go under? I mean, was it difficult for you to finally start accessing those memories?
Not really, because I've always had an innate ability to focus on things like that. And I've been able to self hypnosis as well. Now, for other people, it may be harder. And that's one thing that I want to try to talk to her about is maybe tweaking the QH a little bit
Are you
so
going,
that people can go under easier because you are conscious. And so you don't really realize that what's going on, but you do. And it's a strange experience because when they say the question, you say the answer. You don't hesitate, because if you let your analytical brain kick in, then it's not gonna work. So you have to just talk real quick.
Do you
So
visualize or see things or see
mhm.
memories, or it's just you're
I
just
did.
answering questions?
I seen my father come to me in the very beginning of it. He came to me and took me to a healing chamber. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to go
There were
back to her?
beings all around, energy all around.
Are you going back to her next time,
Yes,
or someone
absolutely.
with what's the highest level that you can get?
I believe it is a 3 or a 4. I'm not exactly sure on that, so I don't like giving people solid answers if I don't really know the solid answer. So it's either a 3 or a 4. Now she is a 2, but she's exceptional, exceptional. So she's had a lot of amazing experiences being a QH as well, given them. The
Wow.
information that comes through is profound.
Well, in the beginning, I'm going to change. I'll come back to this, but in the beginning, I said that you have a new song coming out.
Yes,
What
yes,
kind of
it's called
music?
My Reflections.
What kind of music do you do?
I do all kinds. It's this one's kind of a hip hop one,
Okay.
more so. Yes, and I've got a book that will be released by the end of this year, and that one's called Owning My Reflections.
Where are you going to be releasing a YouTube video, or what with the
Yes,
music?
yes, YouTube and I believe Spotify. I've got something on there with clandestine. I'll put a link to it so that you can access it.
Have you already recorded the song?
Yes, yes, I have, but that one I've got issues with pulling it off the drive right now. I've got others that are coming out though. So, and there's others that are already on there.
Oh, okay. What's your YouTube channel?
I've got the link. I just made it. This is my initiation, what I call it. I've never told my story in public before.
Hmm.
So it's real emotional for me, and
Hmm.
I don't like being on camera, but
Hmm.
this is something they told me directly I had to do last month,
Who
and
told
so
you
I
that?
got up.
Who told
Sorry,
who told you that?
my extraterrestrial collective, my Pleiadians.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
How do you communicate with them? Meditation or
When I
what?
meditate and I raise my vibration, I can hear them so clearly. You can decipher if it's energy that you are receiving, because your higher self will never agree with anything negative. So if you think about something and you feel negatively, that's probably your egotistical mind, your subconscious mind. And if it's something that makes you feel good, then that's definitely absolutely your higher self, which is connected to all of the extraterrestrial collectives. Time and space time does not exist. So we are simultaneously living all lives right now. We are doing everything right now,
Do
all
you
of our lives.
do you actually hear their voices, like being clairaudient?
No, no, I don't hear clear. I've heard my father twice and clairaudience, but not my extraterrestrial. No, I know when it's them coming in. I can feel the energy.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you get the information from them like a download or something?
Yes, it's definitely downloads. My eye will even twitch. It twitched for a whole month last month. It's okay. My YouTube channel is Jesse's Universe 8322. What is that, Cason? Cason Street Recordings.
All right.
Yes. And you can get anything you need from me there. Yes.
Once we're done tonight, because I'm not sure if you sent me a link or not, but send me a link and I'll add it to the
Okay.
video
Yes.
description so people want to
Absolutely.
check it out.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
From
Now, I
Go ahead.
wanted
I'm
to
sorry.
I wanted to reiterate that when I went to prison, there was this girl that she never talked to anyone. She always was reading the Bible and listening to gospel. She took her headphones off and she looked at me and she said, "I'm a prophet of God, and he wanted me to tell you that he is going to use you as you are."
Hmm.
And then she put her headphones back on and went back to reading, and I mean, I could feel like a rock in the vibration, you
Hmm.
know. And for many years, I thought, well, I mean, I don't know my purpose. I don't know why I'm here. I hate being here. It's horrible here, you know, and just suffering, just trauma, 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 one after the other. And then when I had the activation, I knew why. I knew why I was here. So it's wonderful. It's beautiful. This is a divine creation. Divine.
Well, it's amazing how you've turned your life around. Good for you. You
Yes.
know what I mean? From
Yes.
prison and not on the meth anymore. Or
Yes.
I guess you had so many physical ailments from the broken
Oh man.
neck and stabbing.
Yes. Yes. Many, many.
So
It'll all be in the book too. So it'll be thorough.
I think
Yes.
you're going to be doing great things.
Thank you.
What else
It feels good.
what else have we left out of your book that you've done that you're kind of added, you know? Like what haven't we talked about?
Oh man, so much. Just instantly after my awakening, there was just revelation after revelation after revelation. Everything started coming together, realizing that we are deliberate creators
Hmm.
and you create your own reality. And you
Right.
do that with your personality. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel.
Right. Can you give us some examples of how you have created your own reality?
Oh, absolutely. Uh, man, your thoughts are so powerful. So you can magnetize either way. Absolutely. So I've had a friend, this is not really my story, but this is one of the greatest. So he had a warrant out for his arrest and he got in the car late at night. He was so worried about going to jail. He started feeling the fear and it magnetized that situation to him. He bent time and space and he magnetized that through his thoughts, through his feelings. And that it's just amazing how powerful we are like that.
So did he get pulled
If you
over and take
embrace the feeling, because this is a matrix of emotion, of feeling, people want to think their way through a problem. And that's not how this is designed. We're supposed to feel it. We're supposed to feel our way through.
was he so afraid that he attracted a police officer and he wound up in
Absolutely.
jail?
Absolutely.
Makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. He got pulled over and right there, magnetized it right there.
I had one guest, and I love the statement that this guest said, and that was, worrying is basically praying for bad things to happen to you.
It is. It is. It's praying in reverse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It
So,
is.
you know,
Because when you have the thought, that's turning on the Wi-Fi. And then when you embrace the emotion, that's the magnetizer. That's pumping it out, you know. So if you pump out love, you're going to attract love. It's universal law. It's law of attraction. If you hold on to a thought more than 17 seconds, it will draw more like them, negative or positive. I don't believe in heaven or hell. I don't believe in good or bad or evil. I just believe in energy, vibration, frequency, and experience and expansion. That's what we're here for.
do you fear death at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Ha-
Although
Mhm.
death is a belief, because this is also a matrix of beliefs. And if you have ever watched any Dr. Phil episodes of women who thought they were pregnant, they metamorphosed a 9-month pregnant belly and they kept it for 2 years. They were convinced they were pregnant. And that's how powerful our thoughts are. It can change your biological DNA. It can change your, and that's another thing that happened to me in the awakening is I just started losing weight and just getting fitter and just getting healthier and healthier. And it was just an amazing experience altogether of how powerful it is.
Do you
Yes,
have out of body experiences?
I have. But every time I go to have one now, I feel myself float up and I get scared and I go right back. So yes, I'm working on trying to get good at that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the biggest hindrances to having them is the fear.
Yes, it is. It is because the unknown is scary. So it's even proven science that people would rather stay in their predictable hell than to step out into the unknown and make a different choice. That's the hardest thing because we're programmed like computers. We are supercomputers. So yes, but that's why the QH is so wonderful, because they know how to get you in that theta brainwave to where they can get information out of you without having to do any, drugging you or anything that would be negative to me, you know.
Have you
It's just
manifested anything positive in your life?
absolutely. I mean, it just keeps coming too. I mean, money, love, friends, a better home. It's just been an amazing experience. This whole year, my life looks completely different.
That's great. Well, what kind of
Yes.
advice do you have for the people out there?
I would say to try to understand how we are vibrational, because everything is a frequency and we cannot jump frequencies. We have to calibrate through frequencies. And that would be through self talk, through meditation, through calming yourself.
What do you mean by
I
that?
would say,
Calibrating. What do you mean by calibrating the frequency?
if you are upset and you stay upset for more than a few days, it's going to be hard. The momentum is going to be so fast, because if you hold on to a thought for more than 17 seconds, more will join. And then if you keep thinking those thoughts, after 40, 50 seconds, that the momentum is going to be coming like a train. You're not going to be able to really calibrate through that real easy. If you catch it early, even get ahead of it, like Abraham says. I love Abraham Hicks. These are wonderful people that I would suggest to look up. Look into the paranormal. People don't research. They just think, oh, that's not true. And they don't use any science to back it up. They don't really dig in. And that's why I understand it, I believe, the way I do, in my life that I've had. The pain, the suffering, it's all been worth it.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
all been worth it.
well, after watching this podcast today, if people want to reach out to you, are you open to that?
Absolutely. Yes.
What's
Yes,
the best
please
way
do.
to contact you?
Yes, I can do tarot readings. I can do energy works. I can help you soften beliefs that need to be, switched over. And,
Mm-hmm.
this life can be a great life if we learn how to be a deliberate creator. We
Yeah,
just we observe something in our environment and it gives us an emotion, and we just let that kind of run us. We let our environment run us instead of mastering our environment.
I'm going to ask, you don't have to do this and don't feel obligated, but I used to have a guest come and he would do a group tarot reading.
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yes.
he'd do is he'd say, he'd put, you could pick choice at 1, 2, or 3. And then he would do
Yes.
like, here's what 1 says, here's what 2 says, and here's what 3 says.
Yes.
Would you be up for doing one of those right now?
I could do that.
Do you have any cards with you?
I do. If you can hold one moment, my husband's
I
gonna
think
go
it would be
grab them.
cool. Yeah, if everybody else is into it, okay. So she's gonna do 3 piles, 1, 2, and 3. You
Yes.
guys in the audience have to choose 1, 2, or 3. You don't have to put. You can post one. You can choose a number and type it in the chat or not, whatever you want. You don't have to go too in depth here, Jessica.
Yeah. Yes, law of attraction takes care of everything. It will line you right up to whatever frequency you're on. And this is where the calibrating goes in. When you go to do something like this, you want to get yourself in a love space as much as you can. Think about your kids. Think about anything that will give you the joy, that will give you that elevated emotion, and that's where you will get your best reading.
All right. So
And
people are already
now
picking
there are
numbers.
different timelines. I don't know if people understand dimension and timelines. That's another thing that plays into why when people go to a psychic or a tarot reading and then it doesn't happen, whatever the reading, that's because they had switched timelines and they've shifted into another dimension. We do it all day long. We shift in and out of dimensions all day long, and we don't even
Interesting.
know it.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Think about it that way. All right. There's a lot of 3s out there. Interesting. So many people are 1s and 3s. Oh, there's finally a 2. I was going to say, not many 2s.
They're wanting the 3s.
Now there's
I think
2s are
they're
coming in.
grabbing.
Actually, now it's almost even. We got a little bit of everything. So
All right.
this is getting
Yes.
exciting for people.
Yes, yes. Yes, and law of attraction, like I say, just let your emotion draw you to whatever number, whatever card. This
Mhm.
is how we can manage ourselves through this matrix, is by feeling instead of thinking.
I
Absolutely.
like that. I think you're right about
Yes.
that, about feeling.
Yes.
I think it's more
Yes.
about
Yes. And that making that different choice. Here we go. All right.
all right, so first off, let's have you're gonna do group number 1.
All right.
So it's just a general thing for group number 1 that's out there.
Yes. Yes.
How long have you been doing tarot readings for?
For about 6 months now.
All right.
And everyone I've given a reading to, it's been accurate. It's been wonderful. And it's just something that came natural. Nobody had to teach me.
Mhm.
You know, there's universal laws that people don't know of that can really help navigate you through this lifetime. And I would suggest people go look up on YouTube 50 universal laws. They're
Mm.
amazing. And it will give you some insight into law of attraction, into karma, into just how this whole universe is really designed. So I've got 3 piles. We're
All
going to
right.
do one. All right.
So we're gonna do number 1. So this up for the number 1s out there.
All right. We've got the 10 of Pentacles.
10 of Pentacles, okay.
Yes. And so the 10 of Pentacles. This one's interesting. I've got my book too. So where are we at? All right. Leaving a legacy, retirement, and inheritance for everyone that picked number 1.
So what does that
I'd like to
mean?
know how accurate that is too. If anybody can comment accuracy.
So what does that mean? Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely, absolutely. Leaving a legacy. I mean, just your children are your legacy. Your words, everything is a creation. Everything's an extension of you. We cannot not leave a legacy
Yeah.
to begin with. And I mean, retirement and inheritance, that just takes care of itself. But
Right. Well, that's all the
yes,
same thing, kind of in a way. Retirement, legacy.
yes, we all do that. Music, everything.
Right.
My music is going to be my legacy. Me working with others and working light. I don't know if a lot of people understand what a light worker is. It is somebody that can transmute energy out of you, and that's why it's called working with light workers. We
Mhm.
work light in you and transmute.
Right?
It is heavy and it is exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's wonderful.
I bet.
It's worth it.
All right, let's
All
try
right.
number 2. Group number
Let's
2.
try number 2. We've got the Hermit for
The
number 2,
Hermit.
you
Uh-oh.
guys. I don't know if y'all can see it. The
Yep.
Hermit.
What does that mean?
Okay. Go within for clarity. A quest for personal truth, spiritual illumination. That is exactly what I'm wanting people to most touch on, is going inward.
Mhm.
Go light that match in the dark place. Try to be conscious of your thoughts. If you can be conscious all day long and observe what you are thinking, then you are the consciousness observing your own programs. Everything is a program. There are even people that get headaches at a certain time of the day, every day. That is actually a program. There's nothing wrong with them. And I have a theory that I believe that bipolar, mental illness, all these boxes that we get put into, I just believe it's an imbalance in the chakras.
Hmm.
And I believe clearing of that can take care of a lot.
Wow. Right?
And QHHTs are good. Ecstatic dance is wonderful. People can join conscious collectives on Facebook, wherever, and anywhere there will be drum circles, there will be sound bath, anything like that will work that energy. Cacao ceremonies, I've done it all. Trance dance, that was probably the best. It's where they blindfold you for 3 hours and they play heavy drum beats and you dance around, and you have guides to keep you from running into each other. But after 3 hours of just screaming and dancing and blindfolded, it's a transcendental experience.
Wow.
And then they will have you color a paper of what you experienced. And everything that I've ever, like my song, My Reflections, that song was wrote before my awakening. And it makes so much more sense now than when I even wrote it. And my husband's wrote many songs that he has channeled straight from his higher self that were about this awakening, but it was many years before this awakening. So it's hilarious now.
We're in progress.
Yes.
We're releasing them over the next.
Yes. Releasing energy that no longer serves you is
interesting.
That's
Someone
where
was
it's at.
saying they have that in Austin, Texas, that type of trance dancing.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty
I've
cool.
done acupuncture too, and that's amazing. It really it's amazing stuff. Anything like that. Meditation is what really awoke me, though, I believe. So everything's the co-creation. So the healing of the groups, the sessions of the methadone, all that, it would just all played a big part in my awakening.
All right,
it was powerful.
Let's go to group number 3.
Yes. Let's go to group 3. Ooh, judgment.
Judgment. Uh-oh.
Judgment. We've got
That could either
judgment
be good
here.
or bad, it sounds like.
I think it's all in perception.
Yes.
Let's see. Judgment. There's so many of them. Okay. Clarity, a final decision, a wake-up call, your life's purpose. And I would have picked 3 as well.
Really?
So that's, yes. Every day I do this, I'll pick a card and it'll be so accurate to my vibration. If you will listen to songs around you or the TV, if you're thinking something, often you will hear it simultaneously on the TV, or it will be in line with what you're thinking, because that is proof of law of attraction and how the universe works. It's the most powerful law that we can understand.
All right. Well, Jessica, we're kind of coming to the end here. Before we can wrap it up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
I can. I would say to be empathetic, try to love each other, try to feel your way through this matrix and observe your beliefs. Ask yourself, what do you believe? What do you believe? And if you believe, a certain way, why do you believe that way? And that'll get down to it. If any of you all need any of my help, my advice, anything, I'm here.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us today.
Yes,
I really
yes.
appreciate you, and I wish you massive success with your book and your music.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate you. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Take
Love
care.
you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Jessica. So before we get going here, once again, tomorrow night's video is with Sev Talk. Sev is an ET contactee, and she's even had ET markings on her body that she shows them to us, and we talk about her ET experiences. I think we had a really nice conversation. I think you will really enjoy it. We have a bunch of NDEs coming up next week. So if you like NDEs, you're going to like next week a lot. I had a great NDE last night that I posted with Annie. And she's one of my bravest guests. If you haven't checked out that NDE, I feel like that is a must watch NDE. So I think you should really check that one out. And once again, if you want to check out all our other stuff, it's right there below us in the description below. And I guess that's about it. Do we have anything else going on? That's about it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate you guys. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And that's about it. We love you guys. God bless you and good night.